This show is for entertainment purposes only. Do not mistake this show for medical advice. If you or anyone you know is in need of a dentist, please contact 480-391-0099 to set up an appointment.
Welcome to our podcast. Sit back and relax. Dental Works Podcast. We're gonna share some facts. We gonna raise your dental IQ at the Dental Works Podcast. We will guide you. Put out some bad jokes before we are through. Free information here just for you. Sit back and have a good time.
Today is August 11th, 2023, and this is episode number 124 of the Dental Works Podcast, the show about learning the ins and outs of dentistry from a patient's perspective. I'm Ted Work, and that over there is Dr. Terry Work.
Greetings and salutations.
Dental Works is a family dental practice based in Scottsdale, Arizona that has been providing cosmetic and surgical dentistry for over 27 and a half years. We're probably close to the 30-year changeover in the intro.
Yes.
When's that going to happen? Do we
Got
know?
old.
Do we have a date?
Your mom got old on me. I stayed the same
Do we-
age, but that bitch is getting old.
Okay.
Is this your son?
I got to... Yes.
What?
Yes.
This is my son.
Check this out. Check this out. We're about to blow your mind even more. He and I are the Dental Works, because that's our last name is Work. So
We like to spring that on people.
I know.
While we're
I don't think
filming
that's
them.
ever happened before. We
No.
caught the surprise on tape.
So you work with your son?
Oh, try to
Yeah.
eat the mic if you can. Yeah. Just,
How's this?
that's good.
We
That's great.
actually are living in the same place as well.
Yeah,
It's a
right
whole
now.
thing you never really
It's
want
a whole thing.
We're stretching
The housing
that
market's not great.
We're stretching that umbilical cord really thin.
This is
The housing market.
The dream for a father is to work with their son.
It really is.
Every dad dreamed it, but very
Yeah,
few
well.
of us get to
A
do it.
lot of people say dream. I call it nightmare, but
I don't want to grind on teeth. So that's
no, he didn't
hard.
want to do it. But we also we've played gigs together as
Yeah,
well
like
too.
music and
yeah,
stuff.
he's
We
a
played music
drummer
and stuff.
and we've played gigs. Somebody last night was asking me at that thing we were at, and they said, "Oh, you get a chance to play with your son." I go, "It's not as great as it might sound."
I do want to. It's
But-
been a while.
It's been a while.
I do want to check in on that new place you got.
No,
but,
yeah, we'll definitely do that.
But we have a guest. If you hadn't
Sorry,
figured
Orlando.
it out, if you hadn't figured it out yet,
I'm on the show.
Who are you?
I'm over here watching the show.
Who invaded our
Orlando.
family deal? Here?
why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your business and what you do?
Okay, my name is Orlando Brown. My company is Green Leaf Video, and I make videos for small businesses.
Awesome.
Most owners know they need to make videos. Most owners hate making videos.
Yeah.
And so my main thing is when I get to know the owner, I try to make it fun.
Sure.
Try to make it so it's lighthearted, not too much equipment, because usually the more equipment I bring in, the more nervous the owner gets.
Yeah.
And the harder it is to make the video. So I try to
Sure.
simplify it and make it fun.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the owners are brilliantly smart. They're gifted in their crafts. They know it, but they're not very good at figuring out a way to take their technical information and put it in a video that someone that is not in their industry would want to watch.
Yeah. Right.
Try to get it to translate into. I mean,
Yes.
again, it's all about being able to put I don't care how good your business is, if you can't get it out there and get people to buy it, then it's
doesn't
not.
matter.
So to translate that into something that actually sells, that's got to be tough.
And we're very similar because when you say dentist, people are like, oh my God, and they
Yeah.
freak out.
Yeah.
but your personality is so positive and it's really infectious that you're like, hey, at least I can be positive and entertaining and get them to relax and laugh versus being all serious and, hey, your teeth are terrible and I'm going to try to, you are a very positive, upbeat person.
Patients hate that when you're like, your teeth
yeah.
suck, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what. They hate that.
So actually, I mean, again, that's the kind of the motto of people trying to be successful is you always start off with something positive. And I've told this story before. A patient came in, mouth was an absolute train wreck. He's sitting there and I said, I need to start off every conversation with something positive. And so I said, I like your tie. But, you do video stuff and we do testimonials with patient. And Kristen, who's our marketing director, she's so funny because we had this one patient. His name's Bruce. He's a wonderful guy. And Kristen talked to him for like 15 minutes about, well, why do you come here? Oh my God, Dr. Work is so nice. He does such a good job. He's so open to, talking about what I need. He just went on and on, had all these really nice things to say. She goes, okay, great. So then she turns the camera on and he goes, I like it here. I mean, he
totally different person.
I'm sure that you deal with that a lot where they see the red light.
Yes, and they like get shell shocked. I had a gentleman that was a brilliant sculptor, brilliant in Fountain Hills. And this is like the only time that this is happening. And so I bring my equipment over there and I'm setting it up and we started to do the interview. And he got so flustered and everything. He literally said, no. I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
And he shut everything down. And I'm like, I've never had that happen before. So I literally I just set everything down and said, you know what? I'm not leaving here without the interview. So why don't we put all this stuff away? And I put a mic on him, had my phone with the stand and just set it up there. And I just asked him questions.
Yeah.
And then he opened up and it was one of my best interviews and he was about to kick me out of his house.
Right. Yeah.
But
you can see them kind of.
Yes.
I mean, there comes a point.
The tension starts going up and I'm like, he's going, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Old Faithful. Here's the explosion.
And just like you with teeth, you're like, you feel the person just,
yeah.
And you're like, relax, you're going to break the table,
right.
Yeah.
So. But you know what doesn't relax people is telling him to relax.
No, that's
it's true.
You know what you need to do? You need to relax,
Hey.
Body language.
Calm down.
Yeah. Body. I mean, it is one of those things where, and again, those are phobias. I mean, what are people most nervous about doing? Going to the dentist, heights, public speaking, those kinds of, especially when it's on video, like something like this.
Sure.
Yep.
They get all inside their head. They know what they're going to say, and then as soon as the attention's on them,
they freeze.
Then they freeze.
Man,
you do not have that problem.
Man, doing this podcast is really, I don't care. I'll say whatever. I can edit it out, so I don't care what I say.
He's never, but you have a great ability to not. I remember when he was in high school, he was doing like a guitar thing up on stage in front of, I don't know, a couple thousand people or however many.
I would much prefer to perform like in that way in something I'm very skilled at than like talk to 3 people.
Well,
really?
But the whole thing is I asked him.
I'll be in front of 1,000 of people. I just don't want to do a podcast.
I feel like I'm way different on the podcast than I am in real life. And I'm definitely a lot
getting
less.
up in front of a crowd. He sat on a stool with his guitar and played a very, very complicated guitar thing. And I asked him, I said, are you nervous? And he's like, why would I be nervous? It's not like, I might mess up. I'm not going to die, and that's the attitude you've got to have. Yeah. And another time he was playing drums at a place up in Cave Creek called the Buffalo Chip. And I said, and he was like 15 or something. He wasn't even supposed to be in there. I go, you playing the Buffalo Chip? I go, what kind of music do you play? And he goes, I don't know, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And, I go, that's a Western bar. I go, do the people like it? And he goes, who gives a shit? And I said,
you know what?
That is the attitude that you have to have about it, because it's not life and death.
But when it's live music, even if it's bad, I'll go to a bar and I don't like country, but if I'm at a bar and they're playing good country, I don't care.
Yeah.
Sure.
It does, as long as it's good. You
If
really
a guy
don't care.
can rip on shred on a guitar,
yeah. You
don't
anyone
care.
can
Like,
appreciate that.
I don't like
That's, you know-
bluegrass until I see a
Until the guy
bluegrass
is-
player.
But if it's
live,
live,
and you're going,
That's really good.
okay, I can't say I love it.
You gotta
but
appreciate it.
whoa.
You respect it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you really
for sure.
do. Really. Okay, so back to your business as
Oh,
far
me.
as video. Yeah, I'm sorry, we got off.
The
track
next
there,
one is
but-
about me, so
Yeah.
I'm trying not to butt in with stuff about me. I'm trying to save it. So,
I have a good story about how I got into being a videographer.
yes.
This goes back probably about 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I was the person that my friends used to make fun of because I was terrible at computers. I wasn't good at nothing.
Okay.
And none of it. They're like, dude, you suck so bad. Turn it on. What do I do? And so when I started, before I even got into anything online and making videos,
Yeah.
I used to run these telemarketing rooms. They would hire me. I would come in and do the training and write the scripts, and I'd have like 50, 60 people, and I'd be training them. So I was really
Was that kind
good
of
at-
like Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross
Yes,
kind of
kinda
thing?
like that. Yeah,
Love that movie.
So I was the guy that was in front of the people, motivating them and monitoring, doing all that, and I did it
Yeah.
for like 10, 15 years.
Wow.
I did it for a while. I worked at a company for 6 years. Then I left there. And then I went. And
Where
started
was
my
this?
own. This was in Tempe.
Okay.
It was in Arizona.
Okay.
So I worked the company for like 6 years, and I went off on my own. And I started my own telemarketing business for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like at the top of my game, but when the market crashed, it was like when the 08, everything crashed.
Okay.
I lost my business.
Oh, man.
I lost my car.
Yeah.
I lost everything. My fiance at the time,
Wow.
everything. She didn't work for like 10 years. So when I collapsed, it collapsed.
Sure.
It's not like she can contribute. That was one of my problems. I'm like,
Oh,
can you like
okay.
work, do something, work? I don't care what you do. So it was very
Do something
frustrating.
even if it's wrong.
Yeah, I don't do
okay.
something. So I was doing that, the telemarketing, and then I started dating someone, and she lived in Fountain Hills. This is how I got to Fountain Hills also. So I met her online, and we started dating, and I lived in Chandler, and I owned my house, and she was renting. So she moved in with me. Years later, we sell the house, and we moved to Fountain Hills. And while we were there, she started pushing me to find something that I enjoyed doing. Because I was just going through the motions. I was working 60 hours a week. I hardly saw her and the kids and all that. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me check it out. So I started getting online and just searching, making money online. And I started looking at all these courses and all these programs. And it's like, hey, you can teach people how to make videos and you can sell them this course and everything. And I got involved in it. And I became so obsessed that I couldn't turn it off. It was like a drum beat, and it was so loud that I would be up until 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'd be watching these seminars and learning all this stuff. And then I went to her and I said, I don't want to do the telemarketing anymore.
Yeah.
And I just quit doing it. And I
Sure.
said, I'm going
Wow.
to do this full time. And she lost it. She's like, this is supposed to be your side hustle. And I said,
Yeah.
yes, but this is what I want to do.
It
And when
speaks
you know,
to you.
you know.
Sure.
And I said, this is what I'm going to do. So I started doing that. And she was so angry that she would literally come home just fuming. And I would be up until like 2, 3 in the morning. She would come home from work and she'd be on me. You keep me up all night and and just on me. And I got a little office down the street and she's like, you're wasting money on an office and you're keeping me up all night. And so she would come home and this was all the time. And I'm like, I can't, it's hard to be successful in business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let alone having a non-supportive partner.
Wow, yeah.
That's bitching at you. I'm like,
Yeah.
and I
Sure.
said, this is not happening. I'm like, it is hard to be a successful man, let alone come home to this negativity.
Sure.
And so, and we were together at this time at 10 years.
Wow.
And I moved out. I said,
Sure.
I'm not going to listen to you bitch at me all the time about me doing what I'm passionate about.
Right.
It is
Sure.
not going to happen. So I moved out. And at the time, I just thought it was like a mile away. I just got an apartment down the street. And we were doing the blended family. So I had my son and she had her 2 daughters.
Okay.
So I moved out with me and my son. I said, but we were still together. I would drive by the house, pick her kids up, take the kids to school, drop them off. She'd spend a couple nights at my apartment. I spent some nights at the house. And that's how we did it for a few months. And then she came home, and it was something very small. She came over to my apartment, and it was something small, like about eating or whatever. Very small problem, and it blew up. But it wasn't what we were arguing about.
It's never what just happened.
No.
It's what's been happening.
It's a cumulative.
Sure,
And
yeah.
she lost it. F-bombs this, cussed me out. I'm tired of this. And I said, you know what? I don't have to put up with this. And then I broke up with her. And my friends were laughing. They were like, you were broke up when you moved out. How did you not know that? I'm like, I didn't.
I mean,
they're
you
like,
know,
you can't move out
when
after
you put
10 years.
I was just gonna say, you 10 years, you kind of, I don't want to cleave it off that clean. It's something about that's just human nature.
Yes,
you want to try to kind of resurrect
Yep.
or if there's any possibility. But yeah, I mean, negativity, it just eats at you. Yeah.
And so it was.
You're like, I can do bad on my own.
Yes.
I don't need help.
I don't need to come home to this type of toxic environment. I've done this before.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing that ever happened. It was very interesting. So I moved out, me and her break up. I'm working on my business. And it was so funny because I was advertising for like months and months and months. And it was literally crickets.
Yeah.
It was so silent.
Like just like that.
I might do some cricket sounds in post production. We'll see. I don't know.
But it was, and this is where I understand where people say you have to find something that you really love and that you're passionate about. Because to sit there and be advertising for months, and I was making videos, like several of them a week.
Yeah.
Videos.
Right.
And it just took a while for people to get comfortable. And I was also improving.
Right.
I was improving.
Sure. You're like, well, that didn't work. Let me try something different. Yeah.
And when you
know that.
first start out, you don't really know what to make videos about sometimes.
Sure.
And to me, low-hanging fruit is, why don't you make videos about your journey?
Sure.
Learn and share.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest way to get started.
Right.
And I have people that say, how did you get really good at videos? What would you recommend? I'm terrible at it. I freeze up. And the best secret I can tell you about how to get good at videos is make a video every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Sure.
You record it, you turn it on, and you record it. Now, you don't have to post it, you don't have to share it, but when you do it every single day, you got to find content, you get comfortable with it, and if you do it every day for like a month, it will blow you away at how much you improve. And record one and then watch it. Because when you have to watch yourself, imagine recording one every single day and then playing it back.
Yeah.
You'll find I say I pause too much. I talk too fast. Is that me? Does that sound that stupid?
Is that what my voice sounds like?
But, so anyone that is trying to get good at videos, do it every single day and it'll click and it'll be easier. Like when I talk, I don't say You will never hear me say I pause. I literally, from every day and watching myself, wow, you really suck. You said, you're messing up here. And just be patient and slow down. Because a lot of people, when they get nervous, they speed up and then their mind starts to wind and then they start to mess up. So just slow down and it draws them in. And just don't say all day.
Yeah, and you make a good point there. You're talking about, you do what you wanted to do. And I mean, really, if you're doing something you're passionate about, you can't fail. You can only quit.
Yes.
So, I mean, you're
the
doing
Dark
what you
Souls
want to
approach.
You're doing what you want to do, and you get comfort from doing that. And I think a lot of successful people, it's just like, all right, I want to be successful like him. I'm going to do everything he does. Well, a lot of times it's not just what they do, it's who they are. They find it, everything they do, they think about. Like if you're a super, super successful realtor, every time you go on vacation, you're throwing down lowball bids on land you probably know you'll never get. But that's just
you're living it.
Yeah. And so most people, they just can't do that naturally. And so it makes it hard.
I'm so sorry.
No,
to
you
interrupt,
didn't
But
interrupt.
so at what point did you hear about or join BNI?
I joined BNI. Next month will be exactly a year.
Okay. Cool.
It's exactly.
And how
a
did
year.
you get introduced to that idea?
BNI, somebody had approached me with it before, and
Yeah.
I went to one of their meetings, and
Sure.
it just, the person that invited me was not a close friend. It was someone that was over the top, and it was, I think it was during Halloween or something, because they
Okay.
were all wearing costumes.
Okay.
And so the person that invited me, I wasn't that close with him. And ironically, the person that I went with, her husband, I was making his videos, and he told me to go record, some footage
Sure.
of her at BNI, because she was up in BNI.
Gotcha.
And so I went to it, and I was really in the mindset of working. I was just recording her. And she had on it was either a big yellow banana suit or a yellow chicken. One of the two.
Oh, okay.
I think, I don't
Okay,
remember.
all right.
It was big. It was either a chicken
Like
or
a big
banana.
rubber,
Yeah.
a squeaking chicken.
So
Yeah.
I
Right,
couldn't,
got it.
I didn't take her seriously. I just left and never went back.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Right.
Probably about 2 years later, I started working, doing videos, and I started a weekly series for a client who's a financial advisor. And so we started a weekly video series called Freedom Friday. So every Friday we'd put something about his lifestyle and all that. And he was ridiculously successful. I'm flying my drone in his house
Sure.
and fire rock.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
like,
sure.
okay. And he was kind of like my mentor. He taught me a lot.
Okay.
About relationships. At the time, I was single, and I watched his relationship with his wife, and I got a nice little network of people. But he told me he joined BNI, and he's like, "You need
Yeah.
to join BNI."
Sure.
And so I went and joined next month.
There
I
you
just
go.
did whatever he says. I tend to listen to millionaires. That's how
It's
I
a
was raised.
it's a credibility thing. It's
when I was younger, I had dumb friends that were broke, and then when I grew up, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, if you want to
Yeah.
be rich, hang around rich people."
Yeah, you don't
Sure.
go to Vegas and listen to the hobo about how to gamble.
Come here, Sonny.
Come here,
show
let me tell you. Here's what you do.
Here's your dog. So that was and then I went and I joined it, and it was the best decision I've ever made, because
Yeah.
I ran a telemarketing room, so I know the cost of having a sales floor.
Oh yeah.
And I look at BNI as I have 40 people that are selling for me, and they're
Yeah.
owners. So I get
Oh, yeah.
access to all of their friends, and they're going to refer people
Yeah.
all the time. And I don't have
Sure.
to go through the gatekeeper. I don't have to worry about the owner trying to delegate and say, I'm really busy right now.
Right.
And it was just, they're in the right mindset. The owners come in there and they're positive and they're
Yeah.
open. They're not going to push you off to anyone. Then they're trying to help you. And you're like, dude, you're a millionaire. Get off me. Give me my space. So they're like on you to help
Sure.
you and to give you advice. And the model is the best thing I've ever seen. The accountability, how they
Yeah.
track
Right.
everything. And
Yeah.
like over the last 2 months, I've been like obsessed with getting referrals for BNI.
Sure.
How weird is that?
Yeah.
And you know why? So I go and they have an app that shows how much you've sent in referrals and
Thank
how
you
much
for
you've
closed
received.
business. Right, yeah.
And so I'm going through about how much I made for the year, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Is this right? And it's like ridiculous. It's like, oh, you've been referred $90,000. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And it goes, but you have referred, 20,000.
Sure.
You see what so I'm like, I
Yes.
got
It's hard. It's tricky. It's
It
definitely
is.
a
Well-
game you have to learn to play.
Well, I mean, the thing I like about BNI is it's got this built-in safety thing. Like you go there and somebody joins, but then they never show up to meetings. You're kind of
Yeah.
like, that's probably how they're going to run their business.
Yep.
You have to show up. You have to do what you say you're going to do. If you get a referral, you got to treat it. So
Yeah.
people that are kind of doing it for the wrong reasons, they kind of push themselves out. They just
Yes.
can't hang with that level of integrity of actually doing the stuff,
Yes.
doing the work.
And and I didn't want to do it the first time around because he's like, you have to meet every Tuesday morning at 7:15. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's freaking early.
And I was like 7:15, 7:30 every Tuesday morning we meet.
That's brutal, yeah.
And it's funny because it's really mindset because
Yeah.
every month, every week, you're going to want to have new customers.
Yeah.
So if you really want customers, why are you complaining about a platform and it's with other owners?
Right.
Do you know how hard you would have to work to get in a room full of owners that are actually going to listen to you?
Yeah.
And they listen.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
every week they
priceless.
listen. I make sure they listen to me.
Yeah, well.
every week.
It's hard not to listen.
What are the? So I have to tell you a funny thing about what happened in my meeting this week. Someone was like, "I'm a good person for me is gullible people." And I was like, "Okay, that was kind of weird." He didn't really mean it like that, but like he said it, and we were like, "That was kind of weird." Why would he? But we. So when it got to me, I stood up and I was like, "Gullible people, listen up."
Oh my God.
It was pretty funny.
I'm going to use it out of my next meeting. My referral for this week would be gullible people.
I do have another thing. So I have a funny idea where I feel like I could make or pitch a TV show that is like BNI, but like The Office, if that makes any sense. But it's BNI or like a thing like that, like BNA, like Business Networking Arizona or something, off brand or whatever. And there's a guy in my group every week. He's a personal injury attorney. He always stands up and he's the most deadpan person in the world. And he always stands up. Someone like right before him is like, "Oh, I'm doing my goofy whatever dance and I'm singing goofy words to a song." And then it gets to him and he's like, "Yeah, so a good person for me is someone who recently had both of their legs amputated or was set partially on fire by an accident of thing." And he's like so deadpan. He's like, "That would be so great for me." And he sits down and everybody's just like, "Wow, what a left turn."
Does anybody know someone that headbutted a wood chipper? That would be something.
Yeah, no,
that would be
exactly.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's always like, I am never prepared for how dangerous.
Double amputees, half off sale.
I'm never
That's
prepared
bad.
for like how messed up of a description
Well,
he gives.
yeah,
And so
but
it's like,
that's
oh
his.
wow,
But it's
yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
Wow, children who slip and fell and now are paralyzed. Yeah, I guess I'll let you know if that
that's
happens. Keep
and-
my ears open.
And gullible. Yeah. Okay, so then you started your own business with the video, and how long have you been doing that?
Been doing about 7 years.
Okay. All right.
And I'm a one-man band.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you
Nice.
do you market to certain other businesses or just anybody? Or do you?
I will tell you my business model. BNI is one. I've been with them a year. But before then, what I did to get traction and to get it started, I'll give you a very good secret, was I used Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, 90% of the people will use Facebook groups wrong. They get into it and they just start spamming their stuff like, "Come buy my stuff." And there's a formula to it. So what I would do is, my target is small businesses. So I would literally get on there and put small businesses in Phoenix, small business in Gilbert, all the surrounding areas. And I would join all of those groups. And I don't get in the group and just start saying, "Buy my stuff." I'll get in the group and I'll actually start scrolling down the groups. And here's a really good formula to doing well in groups. You get in the group, and for mine, I would go in and just start commenting on all the other business owners' products. Great product. And I would literally look at all the businesses that has beautiful pictures but have no videos.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could see this moving in motion form.
Yes. And so, but I don't go in and say, "Hey, those are great pictures. You ever think about making a video? I can help with." That's tacky. So what I would do is, so I have my personal page and then I have my fan page, which is my business page. So on my business page, I would always, every week, I would post the client's videos. That way it's always updated on a new one. And then I would go in on my personal one in all these groups and I would comment, "Beautiful food, beautiful family." And if you comment on it versus just giving them a thumbs up or a heart, it is damn near impossible for, if someone comments on your page, you're going to click their name and look at their profile.
Sure.
If they give you a thumbs up, but
If you don't know who they are, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if they comment like, "Hey, you have a beautiful family," you're going to click their name.
That's true.
So I would spend about an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and this is how I started my business. I would go into groups and I would literally just start commenting on, "Hey, this is beautiful food, beautiful family." And if they went back and said something like, "Hey, thank you very much. Why don't you stop by?" And if they would interact, then at that point, I would do a friend request.
That's some fifth dimensional chess
go.
right there.
I would never try to sell them, and I would never do a friend request. So I would comment on them, and they're going to click my name and go, "Oh, he makes videos." Always positive. And then and sometimes it may take me commenting like 3 or 4 times, like, "Whoa, that looks like a good dish. Wow, you work on teeth. You're amazing."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going, "Thanks, Orlando." And then I go, "Wow, you play music too?" "Yeah, great." Friend request. Now we're friends. You don't even know me.
Yeah.
Now we're friends. And then I'm like, "Wow, you have great great pictures and everything. Have you ever?" So you see how I didn't just, if I just message you like, "Hey, I make videos," it won't work.
It's the whole B&I thing where you don't just go to a meeting and start throwing out cards and hoping one sticks.
You're right.
You take the time to stop.
You got
talk,
to throw them really hard
learn-
from the stick.
Learn about the person, get some kind of connection.
Sure.
Again, it's about connection.
And it makes sense. And you're like, that
Yeah.
makes sense. But 90% of the people will not do it. And most owners can't follow instructions about social media.
Yeah.
Because it tells you how to do it. So it says social media, right?
Right, right.
Which means you have to be social. It doesn't say sell and pictures. It says social, which means you have to connect with people.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to talk.
Absolutely.
And it says media,
Definitely.
which is video.
Which is, and connecting with people and building those relationships is a huge part of BNI, and that's,
Yep.
and,
Well-
it's in a lot of ways it seems like it is kind of an easier, much more effective
Well-
version of that. But
Yep.
we do not have much time. We are done with the episode, and we will come back on the next one. But I do have to do the outro because we are done.
Well, actually, that ran a little long because I have one thing we
45
talked before. No, I had one thing before.
You talked all the time.
I
No,
talked,
no,
I'm a
it's
big,
keep
I'm
going.
a talker.
and you talked a lot too.
We got, you know what? We got a
I
lot. We
talked
have
at
a whole.
least.
We have a whole nother episode to go.
okay.
But is there
I'll
any?
bring- I
did
was
you have
just going to
something?
talk about what day it is.
What day?
We'll
is it?
talk about it on the next.
We'll talk about it on the
episode.
next one. I say the date at the top, but it
No
won't come out
pointing.
for every-
Point me through elbow.
Thank you for listening to the Dental Works podcast. If you'd like to support the show, please give us a rating on iTunes or your podcast player of choice. If you'd like to get in contact with the show or you have questions, please send an email to dentalworkspodcast@gmail.com. We may talk about your question on the show. If you're located in the Phoenix area and need dental work, please give us a call at 480-391-0099. Dr. Terry, thank you for joining me.
Thank you,
Orlando,
Ted.
thank you for joining
Orlando.
us.
It's a great episode.
We will
I'll
have
see you in
another-
the next episode.
Yeah, we're going to have another episode coming up. Just
Podcast
in maybe a
part
few weeks. Okay. This podcast was produced by T-Door Productions. Theme song written and recorded by Neil Hathaway. Vocals by Terry Work. Sound effects provided by freesfx.com and zapsplat.com.